Hello and welcome to Florida at the wonderful VMP Performance. What's up, Justin?
Hey, David.
This man is doing some baseline dyno runs of the Smurf Mustang. And I know you're gonna be asking, but wait, David, you already know what kind of power your car makes. And I'm like, yes. In other words, we have a centrifugal blower on it right now by Supercharger. It's a P1SC kit. Then we're gonna compare it to a TVS supercharger to see how the Coyote reacts. Now, this is not a video about which one is better, but more so what suits your style and your driving style. So that way, Smurf is our guinea pig for the weekend, and we are going to see what happens. All right, first pull. 603 wheel horsepower on pump gas and about 8 pounds of boost, 7.5, 8 pounds. ProCharger says 7.5, but we'll just say 8. So it's pretty good news because I drove this car from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way down here for 7.5 hours, and it still made 600 wheel. Pretty impressive stuff. Coyote motor is my jam. But now we have a baseline and we can go off of that. Now Justin's gonna see if he can do anything to improve that, maybe a little bit. And then after that, we'll get started on the research and development and show you the VMP Gen 3 blower.
Basically, your air fuel is safe at wide open throttle.
Okay.
Fuel trims are good. There's no big corrections.
I got it retuned in 2016. That's the last time it's been on a dyno.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's lasted, thankfully. And then you can explain to people why this is important and also not to ignore the little things and how drivability is just as important as wide open throttle. And I think a lot of tuners mistake that.
Like I said, the air fuel's safe. The spark timing's actually pretty mild. This thing's only running around 14 degrees of timing peak. And of course the Coyote is VCT, so cam timing has a huge effect on both the power production and even the safety of the tune. Little secret though about Coyote tuning, NA cam timing actually works really good with superchargers.
Does it really?
Because you're just putting more air in.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
We are about to upload a new tune because the torque was extremely low. It was at 431, I believe.
Yep, 431.
431 is real low for this, but like we said before, it was heat soaked, so we're gonna see what we can do with a little bit more timing.
Doing a dyno pull's kind of like a ritual because you gotta start your data logger. Make sure your data logger starts and start your dyno software.
Then make sure everything's communicating.
Yeah, check your RPM, check your boost.
It's funny because dyno pulls to me are exciting, but at the same time nerve-wracking. Do you know what I'm trying to, that kind of vibe? You're like, please get through it.
So, with some tune adjustments, we got back to your 464 torque number.
Interesting.
So the timing's low because the knock sensor's actually pulling timing a little bit.
Right.
But centrifugal superchargers put a lot of noise right into the cylinder head.
Okay.
Where the knock sensor's trying to detect knock.
Okay.
So I don't know for sure if it's accurate without more testing.
Right. Well, I mean, even with all the noise, plus the heat soak, plus everything else, I think we got a pretty accurate number.
Yeah, we got an awesome baseline. I mean, it's only running 8 pounds of boost. 600 wheel is respectable.
It's so stupid. All right, so yesterday was super successful. We got our baseline dyno numbers of the ProCharger setup with the P1SC. Now it all begins, taking off the ProCharger. It's weird, I've had this kit for 3 years now. It's been nothing but great to me. I think it's fantastic, but like I said before, this is more so a comparison video, not so much which one is better. It's more so to show you the benefits of each setup. So now we're gonna start tearing down the ProCharger. We're gonna go back to a factory Ford radiator fan and also a factory coolant reservoir because we don't really need the other stuff anymore, so we're removing it as well. We installed this thing in the cold and in the rain. Now we're in sunny Florida. I like this a lot better. All right, I'm with Mr.
Donnie.
Donnie, head tech here at VMP. And what are the first steps of unsupercharging your car?
Well, I don't unsupercharge a lot of
Yeah, I was about to
cars.
say, this will be like a first time for probably a long time.
It will be, but we'll go through it just like you're working on any car, honestly.
Right.
Drain all the coolant, get our coolant reservoir out of the way.
Yep.
Probably take ProCharger's fan out of the way just to give us some more room working on the front of the motor.
We gotta take the bumper off too.
Take the bumper off, get the intercooler out of there, work on the piping, and then probably removing the ProCharger will be about the last thing.
That's gonna be probably the most tedious thing too.
Probably. just
Everything
getting all
else
the
is super
bolts.
simple.
Yeah.
Everything else is literally like, here it is, unclamp it.
Yeah, I like it. That's good.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Yeah, now that I think about it, I definitely don't think you get customers going, excuse me, VMP, can you please unsupercharge my car and make it back to stock?
Nah, it doesn't happen too often.
The first blower we're gonna put on this car, yes, the first blower, we're gonna do 2 of them. Not at once, that'd be cool. I'm gonna put the VMP Gen 2R blower on it, which is a really beefed up supercharger in itself. See how that does on this motor. Then after that, we're gonna do a Gen 3 VMP blower, which the Gen 3 is a freaking beast. So I'm extremely, I can't even talk. So I'm extremely excited to see what happens with that. All right, so here we are with the 2 VMP blowers. Yes, we're doing 2, like I said. Crazy, I know. Here is the VMP Gen 2. Essentially, it is a 2.3 liter supercharger. And then this is the Gen 3, which is 2.65. So in a nutshell, they do very similar things. This one is just bigger. Bigger means more air, which means more power. That's why we're gonna show you the difference between the Gen 2R and then the Gen 3. I'm just showing you how that little bit of difference can make a big, well, difference. We also have relay harness and a fuel booster, which we're gonna put on the car as well, which is good, because I never had a booster pump, so that's good news for this project. I'm excited, if you can't tell, that's why I'm stuttering so much, so let's get to it. This is the ProCharger, pretty much almost off the car. All that's left is the ProCharger itself, so we're gonna say sayonara. Essentially, take the bracket off, take the blower off, and then basically the car is officially unsupercharged for now. But the intercooler, the piping, the couplers, all that stuff is now off the car. So
All we got left is Chipotle blower bracket.
that's right.
Let's do it.
Totally forgot, these 2 ends are a bigger size than the middle ones. So we're gonna take these off. I was going nuts because I was going like this and going like this. It's like, I'm not dumb, am I? But I guess not, which is good news for all of us. Bracket and everything, with all the belts off, I can take this off because we won't be going like this and belts be everywhere. So belt off, all that good stuff. We still have to get the crank pulley off the car, which if you saw the install video, that was not fun. But you probably didn't see the install video unless you're like super hardcore about this life, because that was 3 years ago. I've had a great experience with the ProCharger. I never really had any troubles, except one time I replaced this tensioner bracket, but that was it.
I believe in you.
Wish my dad told me that. Just kidding. I know you're watching, Dad. All right, there it is. Well, ProCharger, we had some good times.
It's been real, it's been fun.
It's been real. As you see, it's essentially a belt-driven turbo in a lot of ways. A lot of people don't really understand how ProChargers work. And a lot of people say, oh, David, you're not supercharged. Well, it's still supercharged because it's belt-driven. But the other side, when the intake is not on it, looks like a turbocharger. But now, it's off to the TVS life. And this is heavy. Last step, take off the ProCharger adapter crank pulley. All right, ProCharger crank pulley adapter is off the car. Now it is officially, completely back to stock. This is weird because this is the first time the car hasn't had any force induction parts on it since 2015. But that was quick because now we're already moving on to the VMP Gen 2R. So let's do this again. What's interesting is that they use little adapters to keep it from spinning because you actually put this on the factory crank pulley. So therefore this goes on, you take a new crank pulley bolt and it goes through there and then it just adapts on there like that. And that is why we were able to take it off so easily.
Dinner is served.
All right, now we got the Boss 302 manifold off. That has been on the car since 2012. Long time. I don't see you paying rent. Why are you in my radiator? So why is the car getting a blanket, huh?
It told me it was cold. I'm putting it down for a nap.
So unlike the Procharger kit, which is bolt-on, the VMP takes a little bit of convincing. And with convincing is grinding the engine block. And that is what we're, well, about to do. That's why we have all these blankets. After the grinding's done, we can put this bracket on and then we can move on. So what else is important when you add boost to a car? You need to cool it down more so you don't heat soak all the freaking time. So here we have a triple pass heat exchanger with Spall fans on it. Spalls are my favorite brand of fans because my other cars that have boost and performance of that nature, these have always been the best fans for me. Also, if you kind of look at it, it kind of resembles an intercooler. So essentially this will go in front of the radiator where the Procharger intercooler was. So the way the heat exchanger goes on the car itself is you take these guys, which originally look like this. And they're kind of confusing at first, but the way it goes on is how?
Put them on the bracket.
You
Washer side
fold
faces,
them like that.
Yep, towards the bracket on the car. You put the nut through the existing hole, close it up, put a washer and a nut on the other side and tighten it up.
Yep.
Good?
Yep. You're good. You did that holding a tripod.
Yeah, I'm trying. So a question I was asking earlier about the cooling differences between the Procharger and the TVS system is that the heat exchanger is a lot like an intercooler, but an intercooler is air to air, and this is air to water, which is pretty different. They both do similar things. They cool the system down to run more efficiently. But as you see, it looks very similar to an intercooler. All right, the VMP Gen 2R Supercharger is officially now on Smurf. It was a great journey today, saw a lot of progress, and as well as doing the heat exchanger, the blower itself, the awesome intercooler on top of the car, the intake setup, all of this is gonna combine to make a huge difference on this car. The new coolant reservoirs and all this stuff we did with our new factory fan, it really cleaned up the engine bay of Smurf. It needed some love. It really did need some TLC. And with some DLC, we just put a different supercharger on it. I would definitely say it's a little bit more difficult than the Procharger kit. You also had to do some wiring to make this work on the S197 chassis, but on the S550 chassis, it's plug and play. So of course, Smurf had to make things harder for us, which is always great, right? So on that note, I'm gonna close this video out with, we're gonna go in the dyno the very next episode, and I hope you enjoy seeing what it does.
Machucou, hein?